Hello, Jordan.
What's up, Michael?
How are you?
Bro, I've been doing this mindfulness meditation that you've been having me do.
Wow, have you really?
Well, for 60 seconds. It's just a 60-second. I do 60 seconds every day.
Great.
And today...
One is better than zero.
I put on a YouTube video, and it's just like a 60-second mindfulness thing, and I don't watch it, but I listen to this. There's this nice music in the background, and it's nice because it's a minute and 4 seconds. And so I hit play, and I know when it's over, it's been a minute, and I'm good. And today I was doing it, and I get like 10 seconds in, and all of a sudden the music pauses, and I like open my eyes, and like it was buffering, and I was just like, "What the fuck?" And then I started laughing. I was like, "This is the most like anti-mindfulness meditation response ever." I'm like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like trying to rewind it, go back to. And then hilarious. I start trying to actually meditate. And I'm like, okay, and then I had to pause it because I was laughing. I was like, that was so not the point of this.
or it is the point of it.
The exact point of it.
Yeah, giving you repetitions.
Mm-hmm.
That's really funny.
Trying to get that gray matter,
dude. Building that gray matter. I need to build that gray matter.
Have you been doing mindfulness meditation? You should try it.
No. At some point, today's January 16th, at some point during this new year, I don't remember exactly when it was, I was like, all right, I'm going to do 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening. Not the TM stuff, but just
15 minutes,
but just breath work. So just focusing on my breath and like the 5 sensations. So sitting in a place, eyes closed, and then just not a guided meditation, but what am I hearing right now? And think like trying to only pay attention to all the sounds you can hear, whether it's like the heat in the house or like a car driving by outside. And then what am I seeing? And it's like, darkness, there's little spots, there's little light here and there.
Oh, your eyes are open.
Closed. But you can still see something with your, it's a mindfulness meditation tactic. Anyway, it lasted for, I think, a day and a half. I think I did 3 sessions, and
bro, 15 minutes is a lot.
It's a long time. And the thing that I disliked the most, which I found interesting, was the physical, not the mental discomfort, but the physical discomfort of just sitting for 15 minutes.
Yeah,
and it could be the position, like sitting against a wall, just didn't feel great. Maybe I need to go for a different position, but yeah.
Dude, my consistency is 100% with a minute a day.
You're doing it daily?
Every day.
Wow, for how long?
Until I die.
No. Until I die.
Yeah, since we started.
Wow, so a few weeks.
Yeah, 16 days, I guess, from January 1.
Oh, you started on Jan 1?
I had done it a few times since you and I started talking about it, but then I started like every day since Jan 1.
Good for you, man. You're building your gray matter.
I mean, it's a minute. I don't know how much. It might be like doing a minute of cardio. Like, great, dude. You're 100% consistent with a minute of cardio a day. It might be like that. Better than zero, for sure.
Pretty soon you're going to get into it. There's going to be a progressive overload component. You're going to be like,
that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I'm hoping one day I'll be like, let's bump it up to 2 minutes.
Yeah, watch it twice. Listen to it twice. Or maybe you find a 90-second video. Anyone listening?
They have literally all the
times.
Yeah. Honestly, I like it with the background music. It's like this nice...
Wait till I get my money right, like that. Is that?
Could you imagine just like sitting there head bobbing, like this is my mindfulness meditation, man? Yeah. Yeah, man.
Speaking of, I saw that hilarious. Actually, it was a different hilarious Kanye clip. Not you know the one I'm thinking of, right?
Which, I mean, there's some really hilarious Kanye. Where like, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say the name.
So there's that.
I'm not going to say who. He was Jewish. I'm not going to say what religion he was. I'm not going to say what people he's belonged to. He was Jewish.
I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media went to. We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor.
There was another one where he's getting interviewed by the I think he's the TMZ guy, and the guy's basically like, we're going to go to break. Maybe David can edit this in because it'll be way funnier. But the guy's like, we'll go to break. And Kanye's basically like, no, we're not going to go to break. We're not going to go to break.
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
stay right here.
Let me think. We're going to let me think and think about what I'm going to say. Now repeat the question.
Yes. Hilarious.
The,
You want me to repeat?
no.
Well, why don't we do this? Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to hear Kanye's answer.
We're not going to Jimmy Kimmel the situation.
No, we're going to come right back.
No, we're not going to come right back.
Okay.
We're not going to Jimmy Kimmel the situation.
Fair enough.
We're going to give me time to think.
Okay. Fair enough.
You asked me a serious question, and I'm going to take some time to think about my answer. I'm going to use time to my advantage.
What made you think of that?
I literally watched it this morning when I was scrolling YouTube Shorts instead of meditating. And it just popped up.
The one where it's like, let me think. I'm going to think about it for a second. Like, yeah, it's so good.
Mm-hmm. I had never seen it.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's such a good one.
Jordan,
Michael.
what's your favorite rep number? What's your favorite number of reps when strength training? If you had to pick, not like if you had to pick one for the rest of your life, but just what number of reps in a set is your favorite?
8. What's yours?
6.
It really does depend on like
exercise.
If it's Bulgarian split squats, it's definitely 6.
Yeah.
If it's rows and curls and presses, I'm probably leaning towards 8. But like if it's a squat, 6
or fewer.
Yeah, so it's that 6 to 8 range is definitely my favorite range.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. 6 is a little heavy on curls, even though I like to do some of that. 6 is definitely heavy on like a skull crusher or cable push down, any kind of tricep isolation work. I like 6 on a bench press. Yeah, I like a little higher rep on an overhead press. Yeah, 6 lower body. It might be more lower body actually, because almost every lower body move.
The only time I like a little bit higher rep for lower body is the isolation, like hamstring curls, extensions,
literally
things
just
like
thinking
that.
Machines.
Yeah.
Good girl, bad girl. Yeah, leg extension. Any leg machine. Or non-machine isolation work for the lower body. Anyway,
Yeah, but deadlifts, I mean, 6 for deadlifts is high.
it's a lot. Yeah.
But like RDLs, that 6 to 8 is nice. But if it's a single leg RDL, closer to 6. But the bilateral, maybe 8.
Do you remember in 2012 when high rep deadlifts for cardio was peaking? Maybe 2013.
Yeah, it really annoyed me. I remember Adam Pine and Adam, for everyone listening, Adam almost deadlifted 800 pounds, just a freak. We were so mad at like
the industry.
all the industry. Like there was like, I remember there was a guy who wrote like a deadlift every day workout type thing. And it was just like, what the hell is going on? I hated that stuff. That was very stupid.
Yeah. Glad those days are over.
Yeah, same. They'll come back. One day it'll come back.
It all just cycles.
What's up with you, man?
All good, man. Just
How's your
train lower
personal
body.
I know you like to talk about your personal life.
What's wrong with you?
Literally, if there's one thing that Mike doesn't want to talk about ever publicly, it's personal life. So I was just like, let's just push that.
You know
button.
what? I'm okay with it. You know why? I have grown more and more uncomfortable with, obviously, I essentially don't make content. I've grown more and more uncomfortable with parasocial relationships for many reasons. Yeah. Look, if I would absolutely be willing to, go back to 2015, 2016 days of vlogging everything I'm doing all the time, like document. Like I remember I saw DJ Khaled when he was like the peak of Snapchat in 2015. Go in the shower with his Snapchat, and I was in the shower with my Snapchat. Like, you're not showing anything, but it's like all kinds of personal details, family, all of that being shared. And over time, I don't know. I would have to think for a while on like the real core, like 7 to 8 reasons, but I'm a huge fan of anonymity. If I was smart enough, I would have a business where I wasn't public facing on the internet at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a sacrifice you make, and there's an upside to that sacrifice. The more of yourself you're willing to share, the more you can connect with your audience, the stronger a personal brand you can build, the more good you can do with that is like is one way to look at it, and it's true, but also the more you can monetize it. So it's really good for business. And I'm in a place, thankfully, where I've worked 80, 100-hour weeks for many years and gotten in a comfortable spot where I don't have to do that anymore. So
I like that.
But yeah, man, personal life's good.
Do you use moisturizer?
Never. Who's
There's a
outside your
cat
house,
outside
bro?
my window. There's a cat outside
But you
my
thought
window.
maybe it was a burglar.
I thought maybe it was someone trying to crawl in, like do an army crawl around the back of the house. I was about to.
That's a bad idea. Jordan would have had you in a
it's a
Kimura
bad
so
idea
fast.
trying to sneak into my house.
Him and Ari roll straight to the window, heel hook, just start kicking him in the face. Oh, bro, did you see what? Wait, what did you just ask? Moisturizer. We'll come back to this. Did you see what Daniel Yores posted on Instagram? Daniel Yores,
I don't think
absolute
so.
beast in the fitness
Yeah, he's
business
amazing.
mentorship, killing it. He posted a swipe post where the first slide in huge letters was "You are what you eat,"
Stop.
and then dead serious.
Oh, that's so funny.
And then in the caption was like, "I have a bet with a friend on like how people will react to this," and
No way.
yeah, and he did a good job with sharing a degree of nuance. Like it was a really well written post. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. For anyone who wants, Daniel Yores, it's DanielYores. Great coach, great human.
Yeah.
Go give him a follow on Instagram. That's so wow. It was from 2 days ago. This is great. Amazing. Great podcast. Yeah, love that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like he put a lot of nuance into this.
Yeah, and not like an uncomfortable amount. Like I can see that post being written where someone's playing massive amounts of defense. He went pretty much straight at it. And then in one of the
he
later yeah, clearly. But then he didn't backtrack at all. He mentioned like obviously your character is not defined. Like if you eat good, that doesn't make you a good person. If you eat like crap, it doesn't make you a bad person, which
Yep.
no, I don't
like
use
that.
moisturizer. I honestly don't know what moisturizer is.
I don't know what it is either, but I think I have to use it because my skin is just like getting drier. The older I get, it's just getting drier. Like right around the the side of my nose area. And my wife knows skin really well. Like she's like, she's really good with that stuff. She's like, you need to use moisturizer. So I think I'm going to start having to use it. And I've literally never used it my entire life.
It's all good, bro. You can offset it with all the like jiu-jitsu you've done over the years. Like you got a tattoo sleeve. You're good.
It's okay. You have a car. You have a pass. You can use moisturizer. It's like you fight. Do you fight?
Did you have any alcohol last night?
No, dude. I haven't drank. I've barely drank for a while. I mean, I
remember when you would get it bad the mornings after
when I
drinking.
Especially wine. Wine really would dry me out.
What's your water intake like these days?
It's high, dude. I'm super hydrated. I think it's lately. I think it's been relatively cold in Dallas
And drier.
So yeah. So I'm sure that's not helping, but I think it's also age. Like I think just age does shit to your skin. So, and genetics, obviously.
I definitely get drier skin in the winter. That's a fact. It's drier here.
Yeah,
It's freezing here.
For you get it on your lip. You get chapped lips. I've literally never used ChapStick in my whole life. I've never had to use ChapStick, but my up here next to my nose gets dry. So like when I see people use ChapStick, I'm like, I've never had that issue, but I've seen people with cracked lips. I'm like, that looks so unbelievably painful. I can't even imagine. but then I get dryness right up on my like inner cheek.
It's fascinating you said that, because in my mind I was like, I don't get dry lips, but that's because like if you look at my desk, I have 3 chapsticks on my desk right now.
You just put it on right before we started recording. I think it's just a habit for you.
Yeah. That is interesting. But even, my forehead, or if I take a very hot shower, you take hot showers, right?
I take super hot showers. Yeah.
That'll do it too. Hot shower plus dry air.
Man, I want a sauna so bad.
I thought you were going to get one.
Yeah, I am, but I want it. You know what I mean? Like I'm saying it, but I'm going to eventually, but I want it.
Yeah.
We're in these last like 6 weeks before we move houses, and I really just want to get the sauna, move in, and like set that sauna up.
You love the heat.
Yeah.
When we were Lifetime Fitness members in New York City.
2019,
2020.
Oh yeah, early 2020.
Oh, no, it was pre-COVID. Yeah.
Because it was like January, February, early March.
Yeah, because they shut it down. But they didn't shut it down immediate. Oh, yeah, they did.
They did.
They shut it down immediately. Because I remember, it was January, February.
Yep.
They had that amazing downstairs area where there's cold plunge, steam room, sauna. And you could just sit in that sauna for a half hour and stretch. And I lasted like 10 minutes.
You know what the most awkward part of all that for me was? It was co-ed. And I had never been in like that co-ed steam room sauna area before.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I've never done that before. And it was when it's not co-ed, the old dudes are naked.
Yeah.
The old dudes, and they're not just naked. It's not just naked. It's like they are putting their legs in positions deliberately so you can see like they're swinging, and it's like they'll put the leg up on the bench and full frontal talk to you. Like, hey, how's it going, buddy?
That's a 70-year-old locker room move right there.
Yes. Yeah.
Not even just sauna, but locker room in general.
Yeah.
In Scandinavia, I'm pretty sure they're split up by sex, and everyone goes.
I think so. Yeah.
All the guys go naked in there. I've never been. I just remember like hearing stories.
I mean, yeah.
The Russian bath down on 10th Street and First Avenue, Turkish Russian bath. That place is co-ed, and so that had always. I've been there a handful of times.
The whole thing is co-ed? It's all.
Well, there's
100%
locker rooms, right? So there's a men's and a women's locker room. But then once you're down there, it's all.
But
co-ed.
There's no nudity. Like people are just wearing swimsuits and stuff.
Like you're not naked like in there. That place is pretty authentic. Nah, dudes aren't, but I think some girls.
Really?
Couple times, yeah, maybe like topless. There was definitely some of that.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't know
but that place was crazy. They had the Russian room where it's 200 plus degrees.
Yeah.
Their cold plunge was freezing and huge, which is really cool. So going back and forth between those. And then they had a bunch of different steam rooms and saunas.
Are you going to get a sauna or a cold plunge at your house?
I don't know. It's not on my list. It's very far down on my list.
Got it. The home gym is high up though.
Yeah, it oscillates. It oscillates.
What else, bro?
Oh, I got something. Just this is like a good reminder. So for anyone who hasn't been tracking their food for a while, and you can apply this to new clients, current clients, yourself, the minute you start tracking again, you immediately realize that you are under consuming protein, over consuming carbs and fats, and over consuming calories every single time. I literally tracked for the first day in, I don't even know, months yesterday, and just set some random rest day targets in a moderate deficit. And the food choices that I had to hit and the number of snacks that I wanted to go for, where I was like, is that going to fit? Nah, not really, was wild.
That's, I haven't heard a better argument against intuitive eating than that. Or like, I guess I should rephrase like a better argument against permanent intuitive eating, like having these intermittent periods where, hey, I'm going to go back and start tracking, get myself back in a educated, aware mindset. Man, dude, 100%. If you're not tracking, it's so easy to overconsume carbs and fats and underconsume protein and overconsume calories.
You make a great point about intuitive eating, because intuitive eating almost only could work in a food environment that doesn't have the level of ultra processed delicious foods that we have.
Correct.
Like, if we were in a world of only single ingredient foods, apple, banana, chicken breast, egg, etc.
Yep.
Intuitive eating, I think, would work fine for almost everybody. But in a food environment with as much delicious crap as we have, that's very carb and fat dense and not satiating and delicious and just tickles those neurotransmitters, it's basically impossible to. It's not basically impossible. It's not a good strategy for almost anyone, especially if losing body fat is part of their goal.
I think we could even take it further. Like, this is a really interesting slope to go down, where let's just remove all processed foods, and just go like to all the single ingredient, all the fruits, vegetables, proteins, all that, right? We've just got that. But let's say we've still got TV commercials and movies with those foods in them. Okay.
With healthy foods in them?
No, with like the processed foods.
Okay.
So like you see them and they still create that desire for them, and they can literally still create hunger. They can create salivation. You're going to be more likely to go eat the foods that you have available just because that was stimulated through seeing it. And then just because you have it available to you, even without the commercials, even without seeing it, if you've got a pantry full or a fridge full of all, even like nuts and seeds and berries and all that stuff, these natural single ingredient foods, not processed, but nuts and seeds and berries, like nature's candy, if you will, things that are super calorically dense, that are very easy to overeat. And you could just put salt on them, like very easy to overeat it that way. Yeah. The amount of time in history that we've had that a huge percentage of people have had a readily available abundance of food is absolutely minuscule.
Rounds to zero.
Yeah. The only people who would have had an abundance of food are like the wealthiest of the wealthiest of the wealthiest, the emperors, the kings, the queens, and even then they didn't always have it, but they did have more.
And even then you're looking at, depending on how long you think humans have existed, you're still looking at a small percentage of history.
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly right. So that's a great point. So let's just take all the processed foods out, even take the commercials out, all of that, and only have the single ingredient, unprocessed foods readily available. I still think intuitive eating would be really difficult because you have it readily available to you. It's all there. Whereas before, for the vast majority of human history, the only way you got food is if you went out and got it. You killed it, you prepared it, you gathered it. Like it wasn't just in your home that you're comfortably sitting in all the time. Like even if it was like you still had Uber Eats, but they were Uber eating, delivering you nuts and seeds and lentils and by the way, lentils not cooked in outrageously and huge amounts of butter, or it's just like just the lentils and it's just the nuts and seeds or just the berries. Even if you remove your movement from the equation, I still think that people would overeat simply because it's there and they have the ability to access it and they want the crunch, they want the taste. There's like, what do? I'm just going to go eat. Intuitive eating it's very difficult.
Obviously, to a lesser degree than we overeat now.
100, by a factor of 100. Yeah,
but you're saying it's not only food choice, but it's
correct.
But it's food choice and abundance of calories that exist in our systems, that we don't have to go kill the antelope.
Correct.
We go to the grocery store, we order it from the grocery store, have it delivered, have it stocked in our home. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Yep. That's exactly right. I mean, people are like, yeah, we were made to eat intuitively. It's like, we were made to go hunt and kill our food. And by the way, like, you were just eating it after cooking it on a fire, and after you'd gutted it, and like after you'd picked berries and nuts, and like, by the way, all the nuts, they weren't shelled for you. Like, you had to fucking shell these nuts for it. Yeah. Like, the amount of work you had to do to eat was insane. So the idea that intuitive eating comes naturally to us is the greatest fallacy. Like, I'm all for intuitive eating, especially from like a improving relationship with food perspective. And there's definitely a way to do it. But in this I've never been more against intuitive eating than I have been in this single moment. It's just outrageous to tell people that this is what we're made to do. You want to do what we're made to do? Okay, go kill your food. That's what we're made to do.
This is a slight subject change, but I don't know why I group intuitive eating with health at every size in my mind, or at least overlap.
There's a lot of crossover.
Overlap those Venn diagrams a lot. Do you think that GLP-1s have killed, and if not have killed, will kill the health at every size movement?
I think they have. I think that balloon has been popped by the GLP-1 needle, and it is
the air is just
rapidly deflating. It is like, and like a huge percentage of the people who were in that world are now people who are like, oh, I feel so much better that I lost all this weight, and my numbers are better, and I'm getting off my medications, and I'm so much more confident. My mental health is better. It's like, yeah, 100%. Yes.
It's wild. Almost like we are going to reflect back on 2015 to 2025 with this weird political, like, wokeism, not even political, cultural climate that we were in.
Yeah.
I think, and there's overlap in Venn diagram there too, but I think we'll reflect back on the health at every size movement similarly. Like,
yeah.
What were people thinking during that period of time?
What's really funny is if I ever scroll back in my Instagram content when that was like, I don't know, 2018, 2019, 2020, when that was like really big, and I see my videos about it, if I published that video now, people would be like, what are you talking about? This isn't really a thing anymore. Like, very few people talk about it ever. It was such a very brief period of time where it was so massively propped up and a huge topic of discussion that, like, even now, just a few years later, it's like there would be a lot of people who've never heard of it. It's not a thing anymore. It's very interesting.
Yeah. Should we dive into your Q&A?
All right. Well, I have to give a shout out right now because when I opened up my Instagram, I'm not going to go on my Instagram without looking at my DMs before I go into the questions. And I see Margaret Maxwell, who's in the mentorship.
Margo.
Just gave us a huge shout on her story.
Oh, and, let's go, Margo. Thanks.
She's actually shouting out the Personal Trainer podcast. And just had to give Margo a huge shout out. I'm literally going to text her or DM her right now, say thank you so much. I'm on the podcast, and just give you a huge shout out.
Margo's awesome. Margo's been in the mentorship for a while, been crushing content. Thank you very much, Margo.
How tough was going from 1 kid to 2 kids?
How tough, Jordan?
Unbelievably difficult. But to be honest, I think the hardest part was my dog.
Really?
I think that was the hardest. Because to be fair, like, you know, puppies are really, really hard. And he also had horrible diarrhea for the first like 3 months. And that made it so much more challenging. And like he was having some digestive issues, which finally figured out. Once we figured that out, it got much easier. But 1 to 2 kids was really, really hard. Really, really difficult. Especially when the oldest one is 2. And she's just, you know, she's nuts. You know, you have a nephew who's about the same age. Like, they're nuts, dude. They don't stop. It's limitless energy. There's no amount of caffeine that could give you that energy.
Yeah, you go from 2-on-1 to 2-on-2.
2-on-2 with a berserk drunk baby.
Yeah.
Just that could do the craziest shit. Put its tongue in light fixtures or like in the electrical outlets, jumping off of outrageously hard, jumping like off of a very high surface onto something really hard, head first, just like testing the limits of everything without realizing the dangers associated with it. And it's nonstop.
How old's your younger one now?
She's 5 months now.
Okay. Compared to something that doesn't move, essentially.
Just sits there and yeah. And we've been really blessed because they've both slept really well. Like from 6 weeks, they've both slept through the night. I couldn't imagine, like, some people DM me, they're like, my kids are like 2, 4, and 6, and they still don't sleep through the night. And I'm like, I don't know how you do that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Some people are just built different on operating without optimal sleep. Or I guess you just don't know what you're capable of until you're forced into that situation.
Probably that, when you just have to.
Yeah.
I know alcohol isn't bad, but does drinking the night before a workout affect the quality of a lift? This is from OSO Joe 008.
You know, this is one where I would probably, this is an area where I probably wouldn't be that excited to rely on a study or a group of studies or any kind of science. This is just knowing yourself and, you know, go out for a night of drinking and then go train the next day and compare that to a night where you don't drink anything, you know, get a great night's sleep and train that same workout the next day. Where did you feel better? I think it's largely personal preference. I would imagine for almost everyone, drinking substantial amounts of alcohol leads to decreased workout quality, strength, endurance, perception of pain, like in every factor. But there are probably freaks out there who can have 10 beers and then get up at 6 a.m. and go bench and knock it out of the park.
You know, it's funny. I think this is the perfect example of the difference between acute versus chronic exposure. Like there have been times, especially when I was younger, I think age probably affects it as well, obviously, as well as like individual factors. But there would be times where, and even now, if I get a terrible night of sleep, nothing to do with alcohol, but horrible night of sleep, just a couple hours, and I'll have an absolutely killer workout, like an amazing workout.
Wait. Are we talking about drinking, or are we talking about not getting great sleep?
I'm using sleep first, and then I'll go back to drinking.
I agree with you. I think getting a bad night of sleep is definitely, but okay, keep going.
But sometimes I'll get a horrible night of sleep and I'll have an amazing workout.
Yes.
Like it'll be like a truly like personal record. Like I don't know where that came from. I was exhausted going into it. I didn't feel good, but somehow I had an amazing workout. But I know that if I continued to get that level of shit sleep over a week, a month, a year, my workouts would suffer. Like it's not like bad sleep gives you good workouts. It's just occasionally, if I get bad sleep, I somehow end up having an amazing workout.
Yes.
Same thing with alcohol.
That's backed in the literature, by the way.
That's actually super interesting. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
There have been significant number of times, not in recent years because I don't really drink heavily. Not in the recent months, but in years, like I drink frequently, but with far less volume. So I don't drink as much total, but I will drink a little bit on a more regular basis. But either way, when I was younger and I would drink heavily, there were times when I would drink very heavily. And the next day I would hit an all-time personal record deadlift, all-time personal record bench or squat or crazy workout, have really good performance. I never did it from an endurance perspective that I have a feeling wouldn't have gone anywhere near as well, but who knows? But I also know that if I continued to drink that heavily over a longer period of time, my workouts would suffer as a result of it. So I think it's not as much a question of an acute exposure to alcohol or an acute exposure to poor sleep as much as it is what are you consistently doing over the long term? And if you are consistently drinking on a regular basis, and this is not, I'm not going to say health wise, I'm purely talking about performance in the gym here. If you're consistently drinking, especially larger amounts on a regular basis, overall, it will hurt your performance in the gym. Like I don't care who you are. Eventually it's going to catch up to you.
For sure. For sure. This is an interesting conversation because we're both kind of going N=1 here, and we're polar opposites. Like, you probably can't even remember your last hangover. And if I have 4 drinks, I'm in trouble the next day. Like, headache the entire day, just feel absolutely atrocious.
Which is crazy because I feel like your ancestors drank a lot, like these Norse, they had a lot of beer. I feel like that, like, you've evolved. Like, you should be good with that.
Did we evolve? Were we tadpole, minnow, fish, snakes at one point that became monkeys that became humans?
Have adapted over time. Dude, I don't know. But what I am saying, I think that in your genetic line, you should be able to drink. Maybe you should try beer. I wonder if that's
brother. Remember when you were at Delaware, not going out and building your business, and you had your website and you were home writing? I was in Madison, Wisconsin for 5 years, 3 nights per week on the town. I've done all of my going out for multiple lifetimes. I'm good. I've
fair.
consumed enough Natty Lights and Natty Ice and Busch beer. Try beer. I've consumed more beer playing Flip Cup alone than you have in 3 lifetimes. Like,
that's fair. That's probably true. That's probably true.
Yeah, and I don't even know how I survived that era of my life. Because
were you
even
good at
back
beer
then,
pong?
Yes, very. We'd bust out like basketball. It was to be young. I think this one's it's cool to ask the question and get a little expert opinion from Syatt Fitness in the DMs here. But I think drink. If you can train great the next day, cool. If you realize you perform better when you don't drink, that's probably your answer.
Someone goes, Anavar, dangerous or okay? I'm not going to say their Instagram handle.
Anavar's a steroid.
Yeah, Anavar is a steroid.
I don't know. I wish I knew. You know, it's funny. On my thoughts list for today, I actually had a bullet point that said jealous of TRT. And I debated whether or not to bring it up. I don't know if I don't, it's because this is somewhat relevant. I don't know if Anavar is, compared to all the steroids, if it's dangerous or not dangerous or where it ranks. I don't really know what it is, to be honest, other than that it's a steroid. What I do know is that when I see a fake natty who I know is on 200 mgs of test, part of me gets jealous. I got my 38th birthday coming up in April. I go through cycles of like, yeah, my test could be higher. I could feel, how do I feel? I'd probably feel better at 1400 total test.
Dude, that'd be wild.
It wouldn't be that wild. If you took someone like me, who's probably at 800 right now, and put me on 150, I'd easily be in the...
No, I'm not saying that'd be wild. I'm saying...
Oh, it would be wild to hit that number. Oh,
no. I'm saying like that'd be incredible. You'd be like, I feel like I'm 18.
Yeah.
Better than when I was 18.
There's
100%.
no free lunches in biology is something I keep in mind. Hidden costs. Plus there's
cardiac issues.
Well, I don't know if there are in the 1200 to 1400 range, to be honest. Monitor blood pressure and blood work. There's definitely the higher doses you go, but I don't know. What I do know is that there's hedonic adaptation, there's psychological dependency. People get addicted to steroids and want more and more progress. I haven't been taking my training the most serious that I ever could, and so I can make natural progress. I feel good enough. I'm not that old, but yeah, it's almost like I don't even know why I put it down as a bullet point, but it definitely exists in me. So that's a terrible answer to is Anavar dangerous, but that's my answer.
No, it's a great topic, because I think most people don't realize how common TRT and drugs are in the fitness industry, not just in men, but in women as well. And I think basically everybody who sees these bodies on social media is jealous, whether they realize it or not, of people who are using. Mm-hmm. And it makes it even worse, because they think, well, that person, it doesn't even cross their mind that person might be taking something extra. They don't, because if you're not that level of aware, then you definitely don't understand how much these things help. So like, then you see this insane body, and you see someone being like, I eat this many calories and I barely do any cardio and I look like this. And it's like, are you like, what? Like, why can't I do that? And it's like, and they're jealous, but they're jealous of the person who's using these drugs. It's not disclosing it. It's like, okay, I think we would all be jealous of them. And once you realize it, maybe it makes it easier an easier pill to swallow. Oh, okay, well, that's fine. I'm not going to inject myself with that shit. So I would still love to look like that, but I'm not, it's not worth the cost for me. Whereas like, if you think that it's natural, I think that's probably worse.
If you think it's natural, it's definitely discouraging, right? I don't get discouraged by it because I know what's going into it. For someone who's like, man, what am I doing wrong with my nutrition or my training or my recovery that I can't make that kind of progress? It's like, no.
Yeah.
This guy's on a not even well-designed training program, just throwing some weight around and sticking 200 mgs in his butt.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm not a steroid expert. And I know I'm going to get flack for this from the people who've gotten all their steroid education from YouTube and stuff. But like, I would say no steroid is inherently safe. And I would, here's what I'll say. Anything that you're injecting in you is not inherently, there's an inherent risk to it. Anything that you inject in you, anything. Which, by the way, well, what about insulin? It's like, yeah, if someone takes insulin, they don't need insulin. That's really fucking dangerous. Like, people die from that. That's why you have to be very careful with who's getting insulin and how much they're taking and all of that. So I think anything you inject in yourself it comes with a risk. With Anavar, it is generally a more mild steroid. There are generally fewer risks associated with it. It's generally it's generally seen to current research as like less dangerous, but less dangerous is still dangerous. And potentially not even for physiological reasons, but also the psychological reasons. Like, what does it lead to? You take that, and then what do you do next? And then, okay, what happens when you come off of it? What happens to your mental health when you come off of it? When you come off of it, like, I mean, this was Louis' whole thing in Bigger, Faster, Stronger. Is like, once you go on, you're not coming off. It's like, once you see what you look like, once you see how you perform, like, oh, you're just supposed to stop now? You're supposed to go from being a superhero to a regular human? That's what it's like. You're just supposed to just stop being a superhero? Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
You really need to find another thing to get passionate about that you can progress in. Right? Because that's like, you're never going to make that you're never going to reach that peak again, not taking anything.
Never.
Yeah.
You will never be as good as you were when you were on. Which is a hard pill to swallow, because with age, you can say, okay, well, this is normal. But with steroids, it's like, well, I could just start taking them again. You can't stop aging. You can start steroids again. Like, it's very different. The option is always there.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous game to play.
Great points. The hormone replacement therapy for people who are of legitimate age, doing everything correct naturally, and still on the low end of normal, below the normal range, having lots of symptoms, not feeling good, have talked with multiple doctors and want to go on a safe protocol to get their numbers a bit higher within the normal range. Amazing. That sounds like something, not that sounds like, that is something that is almost certainly good for your health. But those aren't the people in the fitness industry. And even the influencers outside of the fitness industry who have like physiques have blown up, or like
especially the financial, the business gurus.
They're
all jacked out of their minds.
There's some jacked podcast guys who are like pumping out 2-3 hour episodes, 5 to 7 days a week and sleeping 4 hours. And it's like, wait, how'd you gain 30 pounds of lean mass and your head shape changed?
Your shoulders are huge. Your hands are huge.
Vascular.
Yeah. And they're like, I can do this. It's like, okay. All right. If I can do it, you can. It's like, but then of course it comes out that they're spending $15,000 a month on fucking steroids.
Yeah. And by the way, and some are open and transparent about that, and some aren't.
Yeah, man. You know what is really good for men specifically and their testosterone? Not having too high body fat.
Yeah. You want to talk about this?
Yeah. Dude.
All right. So Jordan did before you did your blood sugar spiking challenge. What year was this?
This was not this past summer, but the summer before it. So this past summer was August 24. I did it in August, September of 23.
And you were what weight when you started that challenge?
I was 155, I think.
And this is all documented, by the way, so you could go back on,
it's all on
your YouTube.
I was around 155, somewhere 154, 155 or something.
And you got blood work before you started the challenge.
Yep.
And your total test was
low to mid fives, like 520, 530, something like that.
Mm-hmm. And which you hadn't gotten your test checked in a while, I don't think. And so we didn't think a ton of it at the time.
Yeah.
But
it was the lowest I'd ever seen it. I was like, oh wow. I mean, but I had a kid, I wasn't sleeping as much, like business, like I was like, cool, it's getting older. I wasn't worried about it.
Getting older. You weren't training as hard.
Correct.
You were on like the slightly upper end of your normal range of body fat.
Yeah. Yep.
And basically you did the 30-day challenge. You lost 8 pounds, 10 pounds,
14 pounds.
Wow.
12 or 14. It's all documented. It was either 12 or 14 pounds. Yeah.
Yeah. But at least 8, 9, 10. We'll call it minimum 8 pounds of fat.
10. No, minimum. Yeah. Minimum 8 pounds of fat. Minimum 8 pounds of fat.
Yeah. And you got your blood work done at the end of the challenge, and it was 900?
It was over 900 was my test. Yeah.
And based on everything that I knew and understood, because you were still in a lot, I mean, bro, you lost 14 pounds in 30 days at 5'4". Like you were in a massive deficit.
Yep.
That's impossible. Everything we hear is one of the things that suppresses total test levels the most is being in a large caloric deficit, which you were. And your test almost doubled. And so in my mind, first of all, I was like, Jordan, you doing something?
Are you taking something, bro?
Are you up to no good, Jordan? Hey, don't you lie to me. You're like, I'm not. I swear.
I swear to God.
And then I was like, how is this possible? And I was like, you never really struck me as 500 felt low to me early on, like at the beginning for you. So I was like, did you, like, how much wine did you have the night before? And you were like, oh, I drank the night before. Like I drank a bunch the night before. And I was like, that has to be it. Like, that has to be what happened.
I was traveling and
you were
drinking.
stressed. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yep. I was like, stress, alcohol, like
I was at my wife's family's house. Yeah. It was just stressful. And yeah.
I was like, okay, so you weren't actually 500. You were probably 800, 900. Test levels were suppressed from like in an acute sense. And those are your testosterone levels. That's how we like both kind of saw it. I even brought Spencer on
I asked Spencer Nadolski, and I did a whole YouTube video with him where he analyzed it, and he said, no, this is pretty common. Like, and I didn't believe him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was like, this is common. When people lose fat like this, we'll see an increase in testosterone.
He said he'd seen that. But dude, you weren't fat. That's the thing.
Correct.
Like you were on the high end of your normal range, but you weren't 35% body fat going down to 15% body fat.
Correct.
And you didn't lose that much. It was 30 days. Like you didn't lose that much body. Okay. And even then I remember being like, I wonder if Spencer, I think we even talked about this. I was like, do you think Spencer thinks too that you took something and is like being nice and saying this? Like, what's going on here?
And this is because the industry is full of people who lie about this. Like, this is like, it wouldn't be weird to have someone lie about taking steroids. Like, it's like,
yeah,
you know,
yes,
so
yes.
It's like in the industry as a whole, it's like, okay, well, Jordan must be taking it then. Like, it wouldn't be weird to hear that.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, it would be. Yeah. In general, yes, absolutely.
Correct.
And by the way, and you had, and I can't prove this, but in there that you didn't even tell me about at the time. Do you want to share that right now?
Yeah. In my mind, I was thinking I had this real bro science moment where I was like, maybe the key to spiking your testosterone is these blood sugar spikes. Because I spiked my blood sugar every day, like considerably. Whether it was with a donut or some type of candy or whatever, I was spiking my blood sugar. I was like, maybe by doing that, I somehow was able to get my test up high.
Because you're like, that's the only thing that makes sense here, right? I was in a huge deficit. Like, what else was I doing differently during this challenge that I wasn't doing prior to or in my life? It's like, well, I was spiking my blood sugar every day for 30 days. Maybe there's a correlation there.
Yes.
Which is a fun thought experiment. But okay, so that's what happened in 2023. Fast forward to your last several months. You had blood work done in the early fall and were basically, you had blood work done there and your test was in a similar level, right? In the 500s?
It was back down to like 520-ish, 530-ish range. Yep.
Similar to the before on the, that's
and my weight was back up to about where it was, a little bit heavier. It was like 160-ish, 159.
Yep. And then over several months, you lost a bunch of body fat again.
Yep.
And just within the last week, you got another round of blood work.
Yep.
And your testosterone levels are back in the 900s.
Back in the 900s.
So,
dude, crazy.
And now and really cool and really like, what's the word? Like exciting and encouraging, right? That getting leaner leads to such a substantial, N equals 1, but leads to such a substantial increase in test levels. Fascinating. What one big takeaway for me is that maybe all of the hoopla around dieting down hurts, the hoopla around the thought that dieting down hurts men's testosterone levels really only applies to getting unbelievably lean.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're talking bodybuilders, we're talking getting on stage, like having to be in the mid single digits in terms of body fat percentage for it to have a negative effect on testosterone levels. Could be, but how cool that they basically doubled again.
Dude, it was shocking. And not only did it double again, but it doubled. My daughter had just been born. My second daughter. So sleep wasn't great. Stress was high with Curtis and my two daughters, building the house, a lot going on with businesses, like stress super high.
Battling in the DMs.
Dude, battling in the DMs. Just battling in the DMs. 3 times a week strength training. And the rest is mobility work. And dude, test went up 920s or above, like crazy. And my free test got like this was even more in depth. It wasn't just like total, like my free test was significantly higher. Like the actual usable test got just way better. Really, really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And encouraging for people who want to improve their hormonal profile and they're like, should I take a drug? Or it's like, I don't know, maybe just go into a calorie deficit. Maybe like lose, you got an extra 20 pounds, like maybe just lose some of that and see like your hormonal profile. It's funny. People are like, what about hormones? What about hormones? Like, well, if you lose the extra body fat, your hormonal profile is probably going to improve. So like,
yeah.
Did you look at the blood work that I sent you or no?
Skimmed over it. It's a lot of pages, dude.
Yeah. It's super comprehensive. Super comprehensive.
How do you feel then? Like, do you feel a difference? Oh, I know what I was going to ask you. Can you give estimated body fat percentages on the before and after for both the 2023 timeframe and then this one?
Oh, that's going to be tough. I would say the starting body fat percentage was probably close between 18 and 20.
Okay.
And then the finished body fat probably closer to 14, 15.
Similar for both of them?
Yeah. The main with the sugar spike one, I did that in a month. Mm-hmm. This one has been sustained over 3.5 months or so. Like it's been a slower, more sustained, and it's still a fast rate, still like relatively fast compared to the average of what I would recommend for, especially people doing this they're early on in their fitness journey. So still fast, but relatively way slower than the sugar spike experiment.
You know, what's interesting about that is I feel like over the last handful of years, the industry has developed this, like the majority of the industry has developed this obsession with slow and steady being the best and only way of fat loss. And slow and steady does work extremely well for, I would actually say, most people, and is probably the preferred method for most people. But the fear mongering and like boogeyman of a rapid fat loss approach and all of the downsides, like that 30 days was big. I mean, it wasn't like a traditional RFL where you're doing a protein sparing modified fast, like only eating protein essentially. However, you lost a ton of weight in 30 days and your hormonal profile looked really good at the end of it.
What's really interesting as well is people, like, I agree. I think slower and steadier is better for most people. What would you say? 80%?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
let's RFL is interesting because there's unique places to use it, right? Like as a jump start for someone but yeah, if we're just going to slap a number on, I would say 80 is a good starting point. I'm with you.
So let's just say 80%. Then that means like 1 in 5 people would do better with a faster approach.
It's a lot.
Right? Which is like, it's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. And then we have to break it down. Okay, well, who really needs to, like, that's just population averages. But now let's look at the people who really need to lose weight. The people who really benefit from faster weight loss are people who have a lot of weight to lose. And now I would venture to say someone who's 40, 50% body fat, like maybe 80% of them would do better with a faster approach. Yeah. And then as they get leaner, then it goes, okay, now we transition into a slower and steadier approach. But if we're looking at just the population of people who need to lose a lot of weight, there's a real argument to be made that if someone who's 40, 50% body fat, like they've got to lose fat quickly in these first few months. Like we've got to go. Like that, I think for them, the slower and steadier approach is such. I've had people in their situation who are like, yeah, someone's telling me that my calories should be at like 4,500 a day. I'm like, that's insane. Because like, well, they want me to lose half a pound a week. I'm like, you're 400 pounds. Like, that's crazy.
That's a coach whose like heart is in the right place. And they've heard if you put someone in too big of a deficit that like this will happen and this will happen. And you want it to be slow and steady so it's sustainable, but they don't realize this person needs to lose 150 pounds. Half a pound a week is 6 years. You don't want to be dieting for 6 years. It's a big chunk of someone's life. You're going to get demotivated very quickly.
Correct.
Oh, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. You're 5 weeks in. You're like, okay, I just got the rest of this year and then 5 more years. Like, so it's a cool data point comparing the 2023 versus the 2024 fat loss for you in speed of fat loss and still having the same outcome, at least in terms of total test levels.
Very cool. Very cool. Might still be the blood sugar spike, but we'll see.
It could, dude. When you told me that, because I like, it's fun. I can't prove this, but it's fun, and my mind immediately went to when I was calorie cycling aggressively, like 350 carb on training day, 120 carb on rest day, alternating training and rest day. And it's like I was in very good shape when I was doing that. Maybe there's something to the blood sugar spike.
Yeah, but is that why you texted me after when you were like, bro, blood sugar spikes are the play? Because you texted me after the conversation.
No, I think I just ate a donut and I was like, this is great.
Yeah, this is what we got to do.
It was enjoyment, but a post workout like protein shake and donut is quite enjoyable from time to time, at least.
Where do you get the donut? You go to 7-Eleven?
Where do I get the donut? I think I was in the city and I just get a glazed donut from 7-Eleven. That might have been a pre-workout donut, actually.
Do you ever go to like a donut shop? Not like a Dunkin' Donuts, but do you ever go to like a donut shop where like they specialize in donuts?
I'll go to a grocery store's bakery where they make fresh donuts. I don't think I've ever been to a donut shop.
I pass them all the time now that I'm in the suburbs when I'm driving. Really? I just see donut shops all over the place. Like literally they're big sign donuts. It's like a donut shop. And I'm always like, I want to go. And then in my mind when I'm at home, I was like, I'm going to go. And then I'm passing it and I'm like, what am I going to just go get a fucking donut by myself right now? Like, you know what I mean? Like one day I'm sure I will, but like, I don't know. I feel like that's something that I should do when I'm like 60, you know, kids are out of the house every morning. I've got this or I do that. What I would really love to do is like with my daughters, like we make like a Sunday ritual. We're going to go get donuts, but like, that would be fun. That's what I'll do. Once they get a little bit older, we'll go to the donut shop every Sunday, bring them back home. That'd be fun.
I used to love, my dad and I would get mini donuts at the Minnesota Gopher hockey games. They had these delicious mini donuts with cinnamon. Yeah. Or the Minnesota State Fair has incredible mini donuts.
Oh, I believe the State Fair.
Yeah.
Donut shops, what?
They just sound dangerous to me, right?
Oh, really? You mean
if I drive by it every day, like that could become a real habit.
I thought you meant like that's where bad people hung out.
That too. It's double meaning.
I thought you meant like crime. A lot of crime in the donut shop world.
No, I would argue the donut shop world is probably on the low end for crime, unless it was just a shell company for a drug dealing organization.
That's true. Money laundering.
I don't know if they would go to a donut shop, but because maybe they will. Anyway, this was a fun episode. I feel like a lot of good education in here. Jordan, sign us off.
Hey, we really hope you enjoyed the episode on that. If you liked it, please leave a 5-star review. All of them really help. Thank you to everyone who's done that already. I wish Apple would come up with a way to reply to the reviews, because we go and we read all of them and we sincerely appreciate everyone who's done it. So thank you. If you haven't done it, please go leave a 5-star written review. And that's it. We appreciate you. Have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you soon.
See you next week.